Welcome again. Thank you everyone for joining us for today's Appraisal Buzz webinar. I'm Jim Morrison. This is Learn How to Stay Compliant with the New GSE Requirements. This is sponsored by True Footage. And we have Paul Rowe here. And Paul, I'm going to really just hand this over to you and let you take it away.
Thank you. So nice to meet everybody. My name is Paul. I'm an appraiser. I've been appraising for about 20 years. I live in just outside of Chicago. And so I'm super excited to go through this with you. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to start with the GSE update, provide some clarity on that. We're going to talk about appraisers versus tech, 5 easy steps on how you can solve this problem with TrueTracts. We'll do 2 live demos and then some additional benefits of the tool, and then we'll wrap up. So let's get into it. I'm getting this poll. For those, a couple apologies up front. Number one, too much face for me. Like, I don't know what's going on, but it zoomed in a lot. So I apologize. You guys got to see me so up close. Number two, this platform that we're using is awesome, but there's a lot going on. So I'm going to click do it later because something just popped up on my screen. There we go. Okay. Writings on the wall. So the GSEs have provided evidence that appraisers are not doing a good job making time adjustments. What is that evidence? There's a few things out there. Number one is Danny Wiley recently from Freddie Mac was on the Market Moves podcast. He mentioned that 7% of appraisals had time adjustments, only 7%, and that was relatively consistent for years. We know over the last several years, most markets have moved significantly, and the idea that only 7% of those were actually being adjusted for time is a little bit scary. Lyle Radke has also mentioned from Fannie Mae, he has mentioned similar metrics. And so even when we do make the time adjustments, they provided a study that shows that what we make as a time adjustment is significantly less than what their models show them by a substantial margin. And you can see that on the chart on the left. The green is the actual adjustment the appraiser made versus what their model was predicting that time adjustment should have been made. So now what they want us to do is they want us to show our work. And I don't necessarily blame them. You know, if they do their analysis and they say 7% of appraisals have time adjustments, but markets are moving way more frequently than that, they want us to not just check the stable box. They want us to show our work. And so it's clear to me as a profession that we haven't been doing a great job. I know some of us have. There are some appraisers out there that are awesome, and I've seen their Excel spreadsheets and the stuff they do, and they do a really good job. And it's also clear to me that the GSEs and their lender partners are going to be focused on this, and therefore I think we do as well. Let me go to the next slide here. Okay, so let's talk about some of the key points from the update. There's some confusion around this. Number one, the 1-unit housing trends box on page 1. They have said the trend indicated in the appraisal must reflect the overall movement of the market based on a minimum 12 months of data. And the trends must be reflective of those properties deemed to be competitive to the property being appraised. So a couple points on that. Number one is my takeaway. This is my takeaway. Based on a minimum 12 months of data, that tells me most of the time I'm looking at 12 months. If 12 months ago, the trend line is lower than it is today, that is an increasing market because it's higher today than it was 12 months ago. And the opposite is true. And if it's flat, we're around the same price, that's a stable market. That's page 1. That's the box we're checking there. That's super simple. Once you've got the data, you've drawn the trend line, it's a really easy problem to solve. Is it lower or higher, or is it the same? The second part, the trends must be reflective of those properties deemed to be competitive. That means they don't want us drawing a 3-mile radius and saying, give me all of the sales in this 3-mile radius, and I want to analyze those. They want us filtering those either by location or by property features characteristics. Okay, let's go to the next one. One second here. So time adjustments, this is part 2. An adjustment may be made to an adjustment made to a comparable sale is based on the market change between the contract date of the comp and the effective date of the appraisal. This time adjustment may be different than the overall trend. And so the overall trend was, we talked about that. Is it lower or higher today than it was before? And then the time adjustment is completely different. And let me show an illustration of what that looks like. So you guys are all probably pretty familiar with this chart at this point. This shows if I were to be adhering to their new guidelines, this is an increasing market. It's lower 12 months ago than it was today. However, comp 2, which sold at a place that was higher, sale price was higher than today, that is a declining time adjustment. And if we look at comp 4, that's a stable value, and that's no time adjustment. And so a couple clarifications on what they said and what they didn't say. What they didn't say is everybody has to include this chart. They also didn't say anybody has to include a chart of any kind. What they did say is they need to show your work. And so you need to show them, if I determined increasing, decreasing, stable, whatever time adjustment or lack of time adjustment I applied, they're saying you have to have some reasoning. You can't just say that it's in my work file. They want to see it. And so the idea that I see a lot of appraisers going, they didn't tell me I have to include in chart. I'm not doing that. And it's like, why would you not? Because if you've done the work and you have the chart, like that's the easiest possible way to explain to them and illustrate what you've done. It's the simplest way. It will save you the most time, because if you don't, now you got to type like a paragraph or two about how you analyzed the market, what you looked at, how you reconciled it, what time adjustments you applied or didn't apply. It's just simpler to include the chart. And so while you certainly don't need a chart that has every comp plotted on it, they do want you, or I do suggest that you do include a chart of some kind. It's better for you. It's better for the reader. It's better for everybody. And what was the other point? I think I wanted to mention one other point on that. I don't remember, so I will skip that. I'll come back to it if I think about it. But overall takeaway, GSEs, they're pointing out a deficiency in appraisals that they've identified, and they're trying to provide some guidance and clarity. They're making it clear that they expect more reports to have time adjustments. And in order to accurately reflect the market, sometimes they need to be linear. Nonlinear. That's my point. They also don't say that your trend has to be nonlinear. What they do say is if the market is reacting in a nonlinear fashion and it's not a steady increase, decrease, or stable, they want you to adjust that way. And so if your trend line is straight up at 0.5% per month, you're cool. Make a straight trend line, make a consistent 0.5% per month adjustment. However, if the market is a little more wiggly and has some humps in it, you need to make those adjustments accordingly. So they're placing an emphasis on showing your work. We were always supposed to analyze the market and make time adjustments when warranted. This is not new. All they're saying is they've identified this is an issue and they want to improve this, and it's going to be a focus of theirs going forward. For the NFL fans listening, it's analogous to the NFL's 1 or 2 key points of emphasis early in the season. So every year they identify in the offseason things they want to clean up. They have that point of emphasis early in the season. And then there's a surge of flags before the players kind of figure it out, they learn how to adjust. A couple of years ago, it was illegal contact. Similar to time adjustments, it was never okay to chuck the receiver more than 5 yards down the field, but they realized defenses were getting away with too much. They were getting a little too physical. They wanted more scoring. And so they made it a point of emphasis to clean that up. And there were a ton of flags early on that year. Similarly, the GSEs have identified appraisers aren't making time adjustments when appropriate. And when we do, we're adjusting at a lower rate than the models indicate they should be. And so we were always supposed to do this. We were always supposed to analyze our market, make the time adjustments when appropriate. But based on the stats, we weren't. And therefore, the new guidance and the show your work mandate has come out. So I think there's going to be a surge in revision, similar to a surge in penalty flags in the NFL. But I hope, this is my hope, appraisals will learn to use tools like TrueTracts or Excel or anything else out there that's going to help them. And we're going to elevate the credibility of the entire profession. Side note, I think the GSEs have also signaled the idea of show your work for feature adjustments maybe next. So if you attend any of the appraisal conferences where the leaders from Fannie and Freddie speak, they are constantly highlighting feature adjustment deficiencies. So if they're highlighting these, they've identified this thing where appraisers aren't adjusting for feature differences, or they're adjusting too low or too high. I don't know if that sounds familiar to what they're doing now, but I believe they'll follow the same playbook, which is identify the issue, provide evidence, issue guidance, show your work mandate. So just if I were to look into a crystal ball and guess what's coming, I don't have inside information, but I do attend these conferences. I do listen to them when they talk, and it sounds like they're not happy with overall adjustments as well. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next slide, take a drink real quick. Okay, so technology will never replace great appraisers, but great appraisers who embrace technology will replace those who don't. I know there's a growing fear in our profession that technology, AI, AVMs, machine learning is going to start to replace appraisers and appraisal volume. It's already started to a small degree with the GSEs using their proprietary analytics algorithm to issue appraisal waivers. They want things faster, cheaper. They want more robust analysis. A couple of points. Number one, it's not going to happen overnight. And number two, I don't think appraisers will ever be completely replaced. But the truth is, as I see it, the more we resist using technology and tools that allow us to be more efficient and more credible analysis in our markets, the more we're going to add fuel to the fire that maybe alternatives should be explored. So what's the ideal solution? It's not technology or appraisers. It's technology and appraisers. We have to embrace it. And so as it pertains to market analysis, because that's what this webinar is focused on, let's utilize the technology for its highest and best use. Let's use it to process massive data sets and complete thousands of calculations in seconds. Let's use it to provide a statistical foundation for our time adjustments. Let's use it to identify and provide intuitive visual evidence of the market trends, not only for us to analyze, but to make it easy for the client to understand what's going on in that market. Then as appraisers, we can step in and we're guiding the process. We're guiding the entire process. It can't be done without us. We're including, when we guide that process, we're guiding the definition of the market boundaries. We're applying filters to ensure the credible and most reasonable data set is being used and analyzed. We're refining and reconciling that analysis using our years of local market knowledge and experience. That can't be replaced by AI. If we were to manually analyze and chart every market nuance at the level of precision possible with technology, it would take weeks for every appraisal to get done. We'd be charging $2,000 per appraisal just to make a living, and that's not financially feasible. And that's why we need to embrace the technology that can help us do things faster and better than we could have without. If it's just better analysis, but it takes twice the time to complete, that's a non-starter. That's not great. And for many, no one's going to do that. If it's really fast and efficient, but the results aren't credible, that doesn't work either. But that's why we built TrueTracts. It empowers appraisers with faster, more accurate, more defensible market analysis. It enables by far, I want to say my opinion, but I truly believe this, and I guess I would challenge anyone to present a tool that does a more in-depth job as efficiently as this does, but it does the most in-depth market analysis of any tool on the market, and it can be done in minutes. It's not replacing appraisers, it's making us stronger. Okay, so let me get off my soapbox. Let's get into some solutions. I hope that message came across the way I meant it, which is to motivate us and up our game. It's not to point fingers and blame, and it's just to motivate us to up our game, elevate our analysis. So now I'm going to demo TrueTracts. Let me switch to the next slide. Okay, so TrueTracts, it utilizes advanced analytics and machine learning to elevate how we define and analyze our markets. It delivers accurate, data-driven insights visualized through intuitive heat maps and charts, enabling appraisers to confidently reconcile trends and time adjustments that truly reflect the current market conditions. It is a quick 5-step process. You're going to enter in some subject information. You're going to define the subject submarket, apply some filters to make sure you're getting the right data set. You're going to define the market area, and you're going to sit back while the tool is going to automatically gather 2 to 5 times more data of competing properties. Number 4, you're going to review the market analysis charts, the dynamic commentary that's been created for you so that you can efficiently convey the results to the client. You're going to make a few trend decisions. We try to make those for you by default, but you have the ability as the expert to change those decisions. And then we're going to export the heat map, the charts, the commentary, the 1004MC, all of that data, the work that you just did, into your report. And so if you have total, there's an integration that will flow automatically into your report, fill out the 1004MC and everything else. If not, we are generating the PDFs that you simply, if you're using ACI or Bradford or something else, you just import that in. Okay, I have a quick video I want to show you guys. Sorry, wrong screen. I'll get there. So what do I need to do? I need to
click the screen. Yeah.
Move this up here. Okay, so what I did was I want to show you, first we're going to do a demo and I'm going to dig in. I'm going to talk through it, but it's going to take longer because I'm going to be talking and explaining. I want to show you guys this can be done in less than 3 minutes. And so I basically did a report. I timed myself. You see the timer over here. I sped this up, time lapse, because you guys don't want to sit here the whole time. But I'm drawing my subject submarket. I'm applying filters to make sure I'm getting a competitive properties in my data set. I'm loading the heat map. It's doing all of this stuff in the background. I'm refining my subject submarket. I'm adding in the competing properties. I'm defining my market area. I'm analyzing the charts. I'm looking at a 5-year trend, a 1-year trend. I'm looking at the time adjustments. I can add commentary. I can change the reconciliation part of that. And then I go and I hit export, and in 2 minutes and 49 seconds, I have completed the market analysis. Hang on, let's go back here. Okay, so now let's do the demo. I need to move some screens around quickly. Wrong one. There is a change screen, so let me switch. Okay, let's get into our demo. Sorry, I'm just grabbing the property information. Okay, so when you come to TrueTracts, click on Create a Session. We're going to enter in the subject property information here. We're going to do a property in Phoenix, and then we'll do a rural property. Just enter in the basic home features. Does it have a pool or not? Save and classify. Okay, so there's some machine learning going on, but first let me talk about what's happening here. What the tool has done, it has access to all the sales in the market from the last 5 years. It also has listings, pendings, contingent, expired, all that stuff. So it's expanding out to find 6,000 properties. We've played around with that. We started with 3. We went up to as far as like, I think 15,000 at one point. This is the sweet spot. So we look at this, and this is going to give us some information. We want to draw our subject submarket, but we want to do it based on some data. And so if you see over here on the right, there's a 75% probability that this property belongs to cluster 8. We get into more detail about this stuff in the training video, which I'll show you at the end. There's a possibility it belongs to cluster 6. I click on that. And this is just a rough draft guide of showing me where I would draw my initial subject submarket boundaries. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Remember, this is just the rough draft. This is just your initial one. We're going to iterate on this. We're going to apply some filters to make sure we're looking at competing properties. These are dynamic histograms that as I filter them, they will show me the new filtered out histogram of what's left in the data set. This gives me a lot of information about what's going on. 2 to 4, 1 to 3, 1940, 1980, 2 minus care about pools. And then down here, so we don't want to filter by, like when we apply filters for raw sale price, all we want to do is remove the outliers. If you got a contract at 450, you don't want to filter this by 400 to 500. That is not going to be good. The tool won't work appropriately. And you're not supposed to do that. So all we're going to do is filter out the low end and the high end. So in this case, I'm going to get rid of everything below 200,000 and everything above 700,000. And you can see if I remove that filter, I have 459 properties. When I apply that filter, I got 12 less. I've basically, 3% of the properties I removed. And you can see here, the initial, I had 1,100 properties over the last 5 years. I've filtered that down to 447. And so I'm going to click the create heat map. This is where the really cool stuff happens. So what's happening now is we're training a statistical model on all of those home sales that lie within those boundaries, that lie within the filters that we just applied. And we're trying to predict the sale price of all of the homes outside of those boundaries. When we successfully predict the sale price within 3%, that area gets colored green. I think I said within less than 3%. When it's 3 to 6%, it's light green. When it's more than 6%, it becomes blue or red. And so what does that tell us? It tells us that this area over here, every black dot is a 2 to 4 bedroom house, 1,000 to 2,000 square feet, 1 to 3 bathrooms, all those filters I applied, that's the black dot indicating that house from the last 5 years. And it's indicating that it was able to successfully predict its sale price, meaning there was a similar relationship between the features and the sale price. The model was able to predict it. There is no location adjustment required here. These are similar properties. If I can't find properties here, I want to come over here and look. I don't want to go south because these are selling for more. But I got one more step I got to do. Right now, this model that I trained has reapplied the model on itself. And it said, well, let's make sure that you grab the right properties to train the model and create this heat map. And what this tells me is I didn't, because we have some red, some blue. You can have a little bit of that. You just don't want a lot of it. And so I might iterate on this heat map. I might come over here to the west because there's a lot of similar stuff over to the west. And so I'm simply going to redefine those boundaries, apply the same filters. Nothing's changed there. It's going to recreate that heat map. It's training a brand new model on a new data set, retrying to predict those sale prices. So the heat map will most likely change a little bit. It probably won't change much, but we've fine-tuned it. We've made it way better. And so I feel really good about this. It's mostly red area in here. I checked, I'm in Chicago. This is in Phoenix. I checked with one of our Phoenix appraisers to make sure these results were good. He mentioned down here, there's something called Between the Sevens. You have 7th Street and 7th Avenue, and these are historic homes that prices are way higher. And so it picked that up. So it's really cool. It does not know a lot of things, though. It doesn't know school district boundaries. It doesn't know city limits, zip codes, census tracts, none of that. And that's intentional. We want the data to speak for itself. When you're grabbing comps, we want you to figure out where to go based on data, not arbitrary boundaries like zip code, city limits, county, all that stuff. So I feel really confident about this. Now, if I stop here, this analysis is going to be better than 99% of the analysis done by appraisers to analyze a market today. And so I want to move to the market analysis. I'm going to come back because we can make this better, but I want to move to the market analysis just to show you that real quick. So we have 277 properties in our subject submarket. Only 33 of those have sold in the last 12 months, though. And so we have this trend line. This is a 5-year trend line. But we really care about 1 year, especially if we're analyzing comps that sold in the last year. And so if I stopped here, I'm good. I got 33 home sales. Not only have these been plotted in a trend line drawn, but these have been plotted based on adjusted sale price. So we've used our GAM model. It's called a generalized additive model to adjust all of these properties for features and then plotted them on the line. We've also included pending sales. You can see this orange one here to really try and fine tune what's happening most recently. And so you have a 6%, 5.9% year over year change. You have your nonlinear time adjustments down here. If comp 1 went under contract in July, I simply click that it copies that to my clipboard. I go into my software, I paste it in the time adjustment slot next to that comp, hit enter, it will automatically calculate that time adjustment for me. However, we can do way better. And so instead of 33 sales, what happens if we include more? So we come back here to the heat map. This is really cool. So in the first version of the tool, you had to draw additional boundaries to try and get more data. But we know that the model knows where that data is. And so you can activate that data simply by clicking CS. This is the competing submarket. So all of these sales, remember, these are sales that the model was able to predict their sale price within 3%. They have similar features. The features lie within the filters we applied, similar prices, similar locations. And so the question is, if you had a real estate agent, you're looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath house in Idlewild Park, and they say there's no inventory, they might suggest coming over here and we got a 3-bed, 2-bath house. The idea is that 3-bed, 2-bath house, if everything else is similar, it's selling for the same price in here. The same thing with these markets up here. And so if I'm going to turn that off for a second. Let's come back to market analysis. By the way, this is the biggest problem we've seen in all tools, in Excel, in Spark. Appraisers are uploading 11 properties over the last year, and they're going, this trend doesn't look right. It's because there's only 11 properties, and so outliers can really mess with that data. And so let's turn on the CS. Let's turn on those. Let's activate those other 543 properties over 5 years. This is the trend line over 5 years. Let's look at it over 1 year. This green area, let me show you. So this green it's the 90% credible interval. You don't have to remember that. That's a statistical term. What you do need to remember is this is an indication of confidence, certainty or uncertainty. The more green there is, the less certain the model is that this is the trend line. It's 90% confident that the trend lies somewhere in this green area. But there's a big difference between if the trend lied at the top and at the bottom here, that might indicate a different market. And so ideally, we want to include more data to try and get that trend line more confident. The more confident it is, the more confident we can be. And at the end of the day, we want two things. We want the truth, what's going on in the market, and we want to feel really confident that that's the truth so that we can lock in that time adjustment and now focus on the other feature adjustments. Okay, a few other things. I won't go in. There's a bunch of features I'm not hitting on. We won't have time to get into everything. I have office hours, by the way, every day at noon Central. You guys can jump in. We've had awesome conversations in there. I'll help you. But we have the nonlinear time adjustments. We have supply of inventory. So this decision here of increasing or stable, you get to make that choice. We default to what we think it is. But if you decide that 4.3% year over year is stable, I don't recommend that. We want to give you the flexibility. What we're not going to give you the flexibility to do is make this a declining reconciliation because there's no world that that's declining. So we try to make the decision. Add commentary. You're welcome to add any commentary you want. Hover over these eyes. These eyes give you really good information about the tool. Suggested commentary that you can add to try and stave off revisions and clarify what's going on. Again, this is an efficiency tool too. We're trying to build in not only the deep analytics, but how do we do this in a way that is efficient for you guys to really hammer through it. Housing supply. We are going to also default here. If you wonder, like, why did they default to shortage? You hover over here and you see that we're using a rule set. Anything under 4 months, we're going to consider shortage. 4 to 6, imbalance, and so on. But you are the market expert. If you decide that 2.5 months is in balance in your market, you simply click that because that's going to check the box on page 1 for you. So you want that, you want to lock that in and feel comfortable with that. You notice the dynamic commentary has been written for you. Market time, same thing. Going to check a box on page 1 based on this. This is less than 90 days. So the marketing time box on page 1 of the 1004 and the 1073 will be checked for you. Sale to final list price ratio. I highly suggest you adjust your pendings or contingent sales in the grid based on this. We've done the work for you. There is a 3% discount to the final list price to what the final sale price is in this market. And that's also how we're adjusting these pending sales. There's not very many pending sales in this market. Usually there's more, but this sale, we are adjusting it down 3% to predict what it's going to sell for prior to plotting it on this line. And that's because it's under contract. That is the last list price. We also have sale to original list price. This is typically going to be lower than this one because this is the final. Sometimes there's price drops. I highly recommend you using this to adjust your listings. You have active listings in your report that aren't under contract yet. You want to adjust those, in this case, 4.1% down. You're trying to predict what they're going to sell for. You have all the support in the world you need to make that adjustment and have it supported. Distress sales, seller concessions. In an MLS where we have reliable information on seller concessions, we're going to display those trends to you. Not only what percentage of sales have the concessions, but what the average contribution percent is. In certain markets, we just don't have reliable data from the MLSs and public records on what those concessions are, and therefore we are not going to show you something that you shouldn't rely on. This is the information that's going to go into your report. So as you saw, those decisions were made. You have the ability to modify those. These boxes will be checked if you have total. If you don't, we'll put this in a PDF for you so you can type it into ACI, ClickForms, whatever. This is going to be filled out based on the neighborhood. All the sales, we remove the filters because Fannie and Freddie want the low, the high, the predominant. We give you some notes about each section. So the housing trends, we talk about what Fannie and Freddie want for the house price, age and price. We give you some guidance there. We fill out the top of page 2. We have some notes about that. We fill out the 1004MC. This is with the filters applied because they want comparable. You can make decisions here if you want, or you can import it into total and make those decisions in total. We have some more commentary, some guidance. This is highly suggested commentary. We've had a lot of appraisers come in and tell us they love the tool. This was early on, and they said, but I don't know how I'm going to explain that to my client. We've done that for you, but we've also explained they require the 1004MC. We fill out the 1004MC. So this explains that. We filled out the 1004MC per the client's assignment condition. It reflects competing properties, blah, blah, blah. So we tell them, look, we filled this out because you asked us to. We did it the way Fannie and Freddie want us to. But down here we say, however, we completed and relied upon a much more robust market analysis with supporting charts and commentary, which has been attached to the report under the market analysis heading. These charts and analysis were relied upon to reconcile the housing trends on page 1 and the time adjustments to the comparables. As a result, hang on one second here. Yeah, I want to make sure I was sharing the right screen. As a result, page 1 trends may differ from the 1004MC. This is a revision prevention tool. We're trying to prevent the revision of them saying, in this market, if this market said declining here, it might contradict what my analysis said. So we're providing you commentary, and we're saying the market analysis charts and commentary provide the primary basis for conclusions rather than the 1004MC. Aligning the 1004MC trend with page 1 for consistency could lead to a misleading appraisal. I have used a version of this commentary in my reports for 6+ years because I used to analyze the market outside of the 1004MC, and I did not get revisions. And so I don't think you will either. We're going to get revisions regardless with this new change because underwriters, I'll stop there. But this should help. I promise this will help. So what I recommend is Control C, come down here, Control V, and now you're summarizing your 1004MC. You're giving it to them right there. Whether they read it or not is up to them, but I don't know how else to do it. So, okay, we have that. Let's move to, export. So I get done with all of that, and I need to export it. And so we have written the explanation to the underwriter for you. We've talked about how you employed the data-driven approach, the tool that you used, how you defined your filters. We're completely transparent. These were the filters we applied. We then talk about how the tool trained the statistical model. We define the market area, the submarket, the neighborhood, all of those things we're using. We include the heat map. This is dynamic, by the way, so I can move this around. I highly suggest you make it look how you want in your report. I personally don't like all these black dots, and so I would hover over here and click that. and I would do something like this. This won't go in there. That will get removed, but I want to kind of make sure that my analysis is shown there. We're going to include the legend. It's going to explain to them what the heat map means, what all the polygons mean, what the green dots, the black dots. We're going to explain to them the market analysis and the time adjustments. We're going to reiterate things that we're doing things in line with the Fannie Mae selling guide. Again, revision prevention. Please don't send a revision. We're doing this the way we're supposed to. And then we're going to have the charts. So you're going to have your charts, your dynamic commentary, and your time adjustment. You're going to click export. That's going to create 4 things. A TDCX file. That's for the total users. You're going to open that just like if you guys use Spark. You click it, it opens up. It's going to send it right into your report. It will send in the market analysis report into your actual appraisal. It will send the 1004MC PDF to your work file, and then a white paper to your work file that explains the methodology. And it will fill out automatically the top page 1, top page 2, and 1004MC. If you're a non-total user, you'll click export the market analysis. That gets exported, you open that up, and you just import that into your report the way that, insert PDF and import that into your report. I want to show you what the 1004MC export looks like. It's just going to show you, you get called in front of your state board 3 years from now. You got all the information for the 1004MC that you relied upon. And this is an appraiser white paper. So appraisal advisory opinion 37 in USPAP. It says, look it up if you want to read the whole thing, but essentially it says you don't need to be able to explain an AVM or a model's the intricacy. I use the word intricacies. You don't need to explain the intricacies of the model and be able to recalculate all of the formulas and all that. But what you do need to do is understand it from a high level and validate that it's giving you credible results. And so by reading this paper, you will get there. You'll understand what's going on. And after reading this paper, if you don't get there, it talks about the GAM model that's happening, why we're using it, what it does, what the trend line means, how we're drawing the trend line, why we think it's superior, all the definitions. If after reading that you still have questions, please come to our office hours every day at noon Central, and we will help you out with that. Okay, I promised a rural property, so let's do that. Let me pull the data up on that, take a quick drink. Okay, create a new session. This is a property in an area that has less than 5,000 people. Coy Hill Road, Warren, I believe this is Western Massachusetts. It is 20 miles from the nearest big city, and the big city it's 20 miles from is only got like 100 to 150,000 people in it. So I want to show you kind of what that looks like. 4-bed, 2-bath, 1962. Story. Okay. So is this tool as easy in a rural market, and does it give you 500 sales to analyze? No, it doesn't. And we're not going to promise that it does. But what we will promise is using this tool to analyze sales in a rural market is way better. The increase in efficiency and credibility in a rural market is almost better than in an urban environment, because an urban environment sometimes is a lot easier to figure out what a trend is. Okay, so in a traditional sense, you might look at this and you might go, well, first of all, let's talk about, it's expanded out to 6,000 properties, and you can see how far it had to expand to grab 6,000 properties. It thinks it belongs to potentially 10, but these are all over the place. And you're like, ooh, that's not good. And then you go, well, maybe it's 8. These are all over the place too. Not helpful, right? And then you go to 12. So why is this helpful? It's helpful because it's telling me I can't find all my stuff right here. I'm going to need to expand. But let's just say this is the traditional method, right? You go right in here and you apply filters. mess. Here we go. By that. Then we want to get rid of the outliers. So we will go maybe 150 down here up to maybe 400. Now we got 24 properties. I don't even think this will run. Yeah. Let me relax some of these filters because I do want to show you guys. Jeez, there's just not a lot. Yeah, it's not going to, I wanted to show a trend. And what that looks like when you analyze a small market like this, but it's not going to have enough sales to really even analyze it. Okay, so this is the initial heat map, but I only had 25 sales to train the model. I do not feel confident that this is the truth. And so I'm going to expand these boundaries. First, I want to reapply the filters that I had before. What else did I switch? I think that was it. Oh, I'm going to have to expand first. So because there's not very many sales, I'm going to draw a huge boundary and then iterate on those boundaries after that because I need more data. So it's going to take all of the properties within those boundaries. It's going to apply. It's going to try to learn the relationship between sale price and features. And it's going to try to predict all of the sales outside and inside of that model. And then it's going to display the results. So you can see here, there's a lot of similar properties. They're selling for similar, not a lot of similar properties, but the properties that are selling that have the same features, they're selling for similar prices. So you might think, well, that's crazy. All this area is the same. Well, think about it. You have 100,000 population over here. You got 100,000 over here, but you got this no man's land in the middle. Why would it be behaving differently? Like it's rural areas from my testing, they behave similar moving out farther. And so, but it does have some red in there. So I might iterate on this and I might say, you know what? I want to come down this line here, come over here, back up and over, update heat map. And remember, we started with a typical appraiser might have their MLS and they draw those initial boundaries. They're going out 3 miles and they end up with 25 properties over 5 years, which means they have less than 5 to analyze. And now all of a sudden we have 364 to analyze. We also have found some other ones to analyze. So first, let's come over here, market analysis. So this is just the subject submarket. So over 5-year trend. Let's look at 1 year. This trend is pretty darn confident for a rural market. We have 52 home sales in the last 12 months. And I feel really good about this trend. So I probably, in this case, since I expanded out so far to get this and I have reliable results, I might not even include the CS properties. So if I include those, there's a few up here, but the problem is those are even further away. They're up here, but this is a rural market as well. So maybe I want to include those. That's going to be completely up to you. I can show you what it looks like if you do include those. It goes from, I don't remember what it was, 50 or so, up to 96. You have a little bit thinner of a trend line. You could probably be more confident in that, but it's up to you. I'll give you one more pro tip. If you want to include these dots, you want to include these, but you don't want to include all of these, you can draw a market area. You hover over the CS. You hover over define market area boundaries. You click that and you draw what you want your market area to be. And so maybe I want my market area to be something like this. Maybe I want to stay out of the Springfield market. Now I only have 18 additional properties because It's telling the tool, I don't care what's going on out here. You may have told me that these are similar properties with similar features selling for similar prices. I don't want to analyze those. That is your prerogative. You now have a market area. You have a subject submarket. And if you want to go even one step further, you can define a neighborhood. So by default, the neighborhood is the same as your subject submarket. We have black and gold around this border. Black and gold. I hover here. Let's say that I think that this little town of Warren is a very specific neighborhood. Yeah, I don't know this area, but you could define a neighborhood. Now there's only 38 sales. But what does that do? If I'm filling out my 1004MC and I want to be super careful about not including things outside the neighborhood for the 1004MC, I've defined my neighborhood. And now this top of page 1, housing price and age, is going to be reflective only of the neighborhood. And your 1004MC will only be the neighborhood, which, as you could see, this is a typical situation we have with data. You draw those boundaries in the town of Warren and you end up with 6 sales to analyze. That sucks. I'm with you guys. That's frustrating. We're giving you a solution to get away from that. So I come back here. I have my neighborhood, I have the subject submarket, and I have the market area. And then I can make my decisions and export. But I'm going to stop there at that demo. I want to go back to the slides, which I don't remember where those are anymore, but I guess I don't need to. Let's see. Hang on one second. Okay, I wanted to show you guys this. Uh-oh, hang on. Okay, so this is showing you the power of us plotting the adjusted sale prices versus the raw sale prices. So when you're using Excel or any other tool, you are plotting the raw sale price. What did it sell for? Plot it on the graph. What we're doing is using our GAM model, the generalized additive model. We're adjusting for property features prior to plotting them on the line. And so you could see at the top, you have raw sale price. This is what the same data set looks like with raw versus adjusted. You could see all those dots. They get a lot closer, and it's hard to see in this example, but the green becomes much more certain. It actually reduced the average width of the green from 35,000 to 20,000, a decrease of over 40%. So you could, in your mind, think, I am 40% more confident in this trend than I am this trend. The other really cool thing, this is not why we did this, but in this one example, the trend here is flat to increasing a little bit over the last 6 months. But down here, once we adjust for sale prices, it's actually declining. And so it's really cool to see that when you adjust for sale prices, depending on the distribution of your sales, and did larger homes sell more recently, and that's making it look like the trend is up, where once you adjust those for GLA, it's actually not the case. And so it's really an impactful thing that you don't have to do anything. You just run the tool. We're going to do those adjustments for you. You don't have to worry about, well, what are they adjusting for GLA? What are they adjusting for lot size? If they're adjusting 75 for GLA, I want to adjust 60. It doesn't matter. This directionally is going to be accurate. And so it's going to help. It's not going to be perfect the way that you might adjust, but it is analyzing all of those things at once. It's not going, what's the difference in sale price for GLA? They're looking at, $100,000 difference in sale price between a $400,000 property and a $500,000 property. And they're going, I want to analyze beds, baths, lot size, GLA, all at the same time to figure out, how do I attribute the difference in sale price to each of these categories? Is GLA the bigger factor? Is this extra 20,000 due to the lot size change? It's doing that on hundreds of properties simultaneously, and then it's displaying those results. So I think that's really cool. Let's go to the next slide. Quick recap on the heat map features. This is going to illustrate to the reader that you've defined your subject submarket area in a data-driven, unbiased manner. By the way, your subject submarket, this is where you're going to get most of your comps. 90% of the time, I pray that your comps come from here. That means you had a relatively easy assignment. There are going to be times where you can't find comps that sold within 3 months, that bracket lot size or whatever. and you got to expand your search, this heat map is going to show you how to quickly expand that and which direction to go and what pocket to look at. It's going to automatically gather all that additional data for you. So when you need more data, we're going to get it for you. And in all of our testing, in the 15-hour office hours I've run, many examples with appraisers, 95% of the time when you include those competing submarkets, that green area shrinks and there's more confidence in what's going on. We're getting closer to the truth. Recap of what the tool has. It's providing a data-driven approach to define our market area and our submarket areas. A way to collect more data, but not just more data, more relevant filtered data. It's giving us trends based on those adjusted sale prices. It's giving us the nonlinear trend line when the market is nonlinear. If the trend is linear, it's going to show you a linear line. It's giving us our time adjustments for our comps. It's including pending sales to really fine tune what's going on in the last 30 days. It's providing a heat map. Oh, I should have switched to another slide. Sorry, this is all here for you guys. It's providing a heat map and the charts, an intuitive way to visualize and analyze the data and convey the results to the client. And I think, to me, most importantly, is the time efficient process. If we gave you this tool and we said it takes 25 minutes, no one wants that. We're giving you a tool that once you get used to it, for sure less than 5 minutes, a lot of the time less than 3 minutes. And so additional benefits, let me switch to the next slide here. Total integration in the PDF export. So it's doing these, the integration with Total, it's filling out all these, it's an efficiency tool. You're getting the same analysis if you're using ACI or Bradford or whatever else. It's just a little bit more manual. You actually have to download the PDF and then attach that to your report. If you have to do the 1004MC, you got to type that in. But that's the efficiency component. Comp selection for complex properties. This is going to show you and save you time. It's going to show you where to go to grab those properties. ROV defense. We've already heard from users that they're using this for their ROV defense. The lender's sending them a property, and that property is down here in the south. And they're going, why didn't you use this one? You should have used this one. And they're going, see my heat map attached. After controlling for all the other features, properties down there are selling for 15 to 20% more. Sorry, I got the pop-up here. And great data to fuel Synapse. So you've just done this. You've invested your time, your few minutes into finding this awesome data set. A ton of data, filtered data, curated data, the best data you could get. Then starting April 15th, we hope that's the target date. You're going to have a button that you're going to be able to click that is going to automatically open up a Synapse session. It's going to fill out your subject information for you. It's going to upload all that data. You are not going to have to go to your MLS anymore. For those of you who are using Spark, Synapse, and TrueTracts, if you're using TrueTracts, you no longer have to go to your MLS to download a neighborhood and competing data set. You don't have to use Spark anymore for market analysis. It's still the best tool on the market to do your comp import export and cost approach. Synapse, you won't have to go download the data set there because you're going to have it already done for you. And so the efficiency and the synergy between these products is going to be awesome. Takeaway, the level of rigor that goes into TrueTracts to analyze a market should give you the confidence you need to utilize the trends and time adjustments derived and improve the quality and credibility of your report in just minutes. Testimonials. So we have had many high performers that have already made this switch. In the last 30 days, we've already had over 3,000 people, appraisers, sign up to use the tool. We've had over 60,000 uses. You can see some of the comments here. I want to focus on two of them. I was doing a webinar for Dustin Harris. I think most of you guys probably know him. He's an awesome coach. I was a student of his for, 10 years. I was in his all-star team coaching group, and I did a presentation, and one of the guys had commented, this is brilliant. I did not get his permission to say his name, but I did get Dustin's permission. And so Dustin's quote is the fourth one down. He said, I don't know if anyone, or no, third one down. Every single individual that attended was blown away. He sent me a text afterwards. But this person, TB, had posted this message, and Dustin had said, hey, unmute yourself and tell us more, because Dustin knew about this guy. And this guy had presented at one of Dustin's retreats where he has his mastermind dream team members come out and all meet together. And he is such an expert in Excel and data analysis that he presented like a 2-hour seminar on how he, over the last 10 years, had built and refined this awesome Excel tool to quickly import data, analyze it, move it around, and figure out the stuff. And so he came on and he said, I guess what I mean by that comment is, number one, I love it. But what's disappointing is I just lost my competitive advantage in my market, because for years I have had this tool in Excel that I've built. I'm a geek about it, and it has been my competitive advantage, but this blows that out of the water, and this is way better. And so I understand Excel is a tool out there. And if you want to use Excel and we're not available in your market yet, Excel's great. It's not doing what this tool is doing. None of the other tools on the market is doing what this tool is doing. Let me switch to the next slide here. Okay, so our products. Start with TrueTracts. Start your process. I have a video. We can post it in here, or you can go to our YouTube channel. We've had appraisers reach out and say, like, I love, TrueTracts, but I already use Spark and Synapse. I don't know what I'm supposed to use what for. You're going to use TrueTracts. This is the foundation of, in our view, the foundation of doing your appraisal. You're going to use it to define your market, gather the data to fuel the analysis, analyze your market trends, get your time adjustments, get your 1004MC filled out. That's step one. Then you're going to use Spark to import and export your comps really quickly and efficiently. Those of you who aren't using Spark, please check it out. It has, Brandon built into that, so many settings that you can customize Spark to do exactly what you want with the data, so that when you import and export in 3 minutes, you've got your grid filled out exactly how you want. You don't like to use the word patio, you like PTIO. Like, the settings in there are insane. You like to use public records for GLA as your source, not the MLS. You set it one time, it fills it all out for you. It also does the cost approach. Synapse, that's feature adjustments. That's beds, baths, GLA, lot size. That's all of those. The integration between TrueTracts and Synapse is coming soon. Hang on, I got another pop-up here. That's coming hopefully April 15th. We are running out of time, so I'm going to speed up. We're currently in beta, but we have just minor bugs pop up, nothing major. You can use this. We have tons of appraisals, as I showed you, 60,000 uses. 47% of the country has access today. Another 45% will have access in March. We don't know when in March. We are prioritizing the biggest markets. So more than likely, those big markets, Dallas, et cetera, will be coming early March. We're shooting for March 1st. I don't want to promise that. We're still ingesting, cleaning, formatting data, analyzing it. So shooting for March 1st for a lot of markets, but we're trying to promise at some point in March. To sign up, the link is here. I think there was a pop-up about that. You can look at coverage areas to find out if it's available. If you're not in your coverage area today, Spark has been updated to handle nonlinear time adjustments. There's a video on our YouTube page. Brandon did 30 minutes, just like last week or the week before, where he details how you do nonlinear time adjustments in Spark. Join our Facebook group. We got tons of activity in there. Appraisers post issues. I'll quickly make a video for you explaining, how to help you with whatever your problem is. Go to our YouTube channel, watch those videos. Every day, office hours. This is important. Office hours. If you're having trouble with the tool, you're not getting it, it's not giving you the results you want, it doesn't make sense. I promise we can help you. You're probably just not doing something right. Not your fault. There's a lot going on here, but we'll fix it. Everybody that's come on to office hours, they have a problem. We go through it, we solve it, and they go, oh, now I get it. I wasn't doing X right. We want to help you. We want this to work for you. So please, almost every day, there's an occasional conflict, but weekdays, noon central. I should show that real quick. Sorry, I'm going to go right back to my screen one more time. Oh, crap. Maybe I won't because I can't find it. Oh, here we go. This question mark in the tool, click the question mark. It has FAQs. It has our email support. It has the office hours. You just click that button and you join our office hours. It has our coverage. and it has the full training video right there in the tool. So sign up, jump in, and I'll stop there. Sorry, I went a little long.
Well, this is absolutely fabulous, Paul. Thank you for walking through all this with us. You know, we still have over 400 people on, even though we have gone over time. You know, this is completely free right now for everyone to try out. So if you're still here, you're still joining us, click this button, click here, try it out, see what works. Join Paul on his office hours. We really appreciate you all for joining us. This was really great information, and you know, this is going to change how appraisers do everything. All right. Well, thank you all very much. We've included all the contact information, and please reach out if you have any questions. A recording will be emailed to everybody as soon as it finishes processing. Thanks, and have a great day.
Last comment, we are doing office hours right now. I'm jumping off this and into that link, so hopefully I will see some of you over there. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
Bye.